Hi, this is your big gay trucker with LGBTQ plus Truck Driver Network, and join me as I interview the PrimaDonnas. Hi guys, it's Bobby, your big gay trucker, and I'm coming live from you at home. I have been home for off and on for the last couple of weeks, and I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for all your continued support, for watching the show and everything that you do. There's been so many people that has reached out since my dad passed, and 3 weeks ago my father passed, and without the organization and all the people that has reached out to us, it just has been so emotional and just wonderful. So I thank everybody for all of that. Today is a really near and dear show to my heart because I started drag sneaking in the bars with a fake ID when I was 16, and now I'm 43. And, so years and years later of doing drag, but, drag made me who I was, the amazing interactions with all the great people who were my sisters and the people that I had along the way. So when moving the organization from Florida to Bowling Green, Kentucky, I really just was speechless when I really met the PrimaDonnas. I had seen them first at a local bar here, and then I had seen them at the local Pride. A lot of them just really took me by surprise. They just kind of ignited that fire back inside of me all over again, of that 16-year-old boy that just was mesmerized by drag and loved it again. I seen a sisterhood of sisters and people that just loved being themselves. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. And so I asked the board and I asked a lot of our members from the group to come up with some questions over the last couple of weeks. And some of the questions may, hit a nerve with somebody, but that's okay. That is what makes us all individuals on who we are. So I just hope you guys enjoy the show. And that's kind of like my little disclaimer to say, don't get pissed off and don't block me. But besides that, just continue to keep coming back. And we love you all so much. Thank you for everything. But first we have India Divine. India will be joining me here in just a moment, and just a wonderful entertainer. And so we are ready to go. All right. Hi, India.
Hi.
Hey, so what I really would like to start at with everybody as I go down the line with each one of you is tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the industry of doing drag.
Well, I am the oldest entertainer of the PrimaDonnas cast at 50. Started drag in 1994. My drag mother was somebody I first dated when I first came out here in Bowling Green. And we had broken up, still remained friends. I knew he was a queen. And there was just one day I'd started collecting drag. And finally I went to his house. He looked at me, he said, "You want to get in drag, don't you?" And there just so happened to be a party that night. So he put me in drag, and that was my first party. And it was over on Creason Street, if I remember correctly. And that was my first time in drag and my first time doing a show.
Oh, wow. So you just did it all at once.
Yeah, that's kind of all we had for Bowling Green though back then was if there was a house party, you could get in drag, and maybe they'll let you do a show. Or if we used to run HIV and AIDS benefits. That's
Mhm.
what we had for drag in Bowling Green.
Okay. So I basically have a whole series of questions for each of you, and all of them is going to be different. I myself always have been a larger full figure queen myself. So I always loved being a plus size queen and always loved having fun with my curves with everybody. So a question I have is, do you feel that it's harder being a plus size queen?
Sometimes it can be because sometimes they expect the plus size queens to be the comedy queens, but there are plenty of plus size queens who are high energy dancing queens. Um, I try to do a mixture of everything, either comedy, dance, ballad, give them something different. It is a little bit harder for the plus size queens because, I hate to say it, but the LGBT community is very on a look.
Right,
At least in my opinion, they are.
right. No, I get it. I get it. I was over 300 pounds at one time, and now I'm down in the mid 200s, and I still have people that's like, "You're too fat." Just simple as that. And I've always struggled with that my whole life. Um, Now, Bowling Green. How long have you called Bowling Green home? Is it
Bowling Green's officially been home since '94. However, I am from just down the road in Franklin, Kentucky. That was my original hometown for like 21 years. And um, we were always coming up to Bowling Green when I was younger anyway, either going to the mall, going to eat, going somewhere. So I already knew Bowling Green.
right?
I just, being a sheltered child in Franklin, I didn't know what Bowling Green had to offer for me till I finally came out of the closet. And it just opened
So,
a whole new world.
with that being said, and Bowling Green being an important part of your life, what would you like to see happen in the future growth for the city of Bowling Green?
For the city of Bowling Green and the LGBTQ community, it's time for a gay bar. It is way past time for a gay bar. We have once a month drag shows at different venues. Um, Drag has opened up a lot in Bowling Green. Like the PrimaDonnas, not only do we have our main show at Donna's, we have brunch at Ramen Bar. One of our own cast members, Rita, is doing um, drag race viewing and drag bingo now. So that's a lot that's coming for the LGBT community here in Bowling Green. But
Okay.
I do think that hopefully in the short future, we do have a gay bar coming. It's time.
That would be awesome. I totally agree with that. I'm surprised that there's not been one before now.
Actually, there was.
Was there?
There was back in '94 when I came out. It was like between '93 and '94, and it was out on Morgantown Road.
Okay.
It's where 231 Liquors is at now. And it first was called the Long Leg Lounge and then the Rainbow Lounge. And it was a good little bar for what it provided. And it didn't to be honest, it didn't last too terribly long because of poor management.
Okay. So, with the PrimaDonnas being a main staple to the community here, how did the PrimaDonnas come about and who started it?
Well, PrimaDonnas started through Gorgina George, Serenity Sweets, and Britannica. Those have been the three main show directors since it started. Which, when we first started, we weren't the PrimaDonnas. We started at A-Frame, and it was Frame Fatale.
Okay.
From Frame Fatale, we went from the A-Frame to Tidballs, and we've been at Donna's the longest.
Okay. That's cool. So talking about guests and people that you interact with, you get a following for people, but sometimes in today's world, proper etiquette is kind of out the window. So I had someone that had a question that basically was, how do you deal with audience members who try to steal your spotlight on stage or during performances?
I've never had a real issue with that.
Okay.
Somebody trying to steal my spotlight.
I just know
Now,
sometimes some people jump up on the stage and they may get a little too intoxicated or something happening, and I've seen it happen, especially in YouTube videos and other stuff. So I know that's where that
yes,
question come from.
that has happened. But if somebody's on stage with me, it's probably because I've pulled them up there. And I am kind of notorious for that. Like, especially at some of my other shows I go to, I pull people up on stage with me.
Right. Yep. I used to do that all the time. It was one of my funnest things. I used to take a Sharpie out and we used to sign tits and ass. And that was the thing that we used to do back in the day. And it was just a fun thing that we used to do. So another thing that I would like to know, and this was kind of my question, because you learn so much through the process of drag and becoming your character. So a question I have is, what would you say to your younger self that India has taught you?
Just be you. Just be you. I faced some hardship when I first started, both kind of in with the family and just as a gay man. Faced a little hardship, but over the years, I've learned just be you.
Right.
Be who you are. You are you. Nobody else can change that. No amount of biblical scripture can change that. You are who you are.
Right.
And that's for anybody, whether you do drag or whether you're just a gay man or whether you're a gay man, lesbian, bisexual. Be you.
Right. So I just have one more question, actually. We actually went through this a little bit faster than I thought. So the last question is, when you hear about LGBTQ plus truckers in the industry, what comes to mind for you personally?
Comes to mind when I hear of LGBTQ truckers is I'm sorry.
That hairy man from earlier is what comes to mind. I already know this, so.
I've met a few. And I'll put that in quotes that I have met a few. One we were discussing earlier.
Right.
I've seen some truckers come into places, come in as a trucker, go out as Tanya.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I know they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's all kinds of LGBTQ plus truckers. And I think that's amazing.
Currently,
because it's our truck drivers who keep everything moving anyway.
Right. And currently on the road, a lot of people really don't realize that there is literally over 17,000 drivers of the LGBTQ community out on the road. And that's a huge number. And so it's a very, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just reading some of these comments.
They're being rotten. So with all the questions being done, we're going to get ready to move on to the next person. But the question I have last is basically, is there anything you would like to say before leaving?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you to you all for doing this. This is a first for Bowling Green. I hope it can happen more. But I don't know what else I could say except Thank
That's
you.
fine. No, that's fine. I just wanted to, it just meant a lot to me. So I'm so happy that we were able to do this and meet with everybody. So I thank you so much for coming, India.
Well, thank you all for having us.
And it's not going to be the only time. We'll plan many more things in the future. So
I'm ready. I am ready.
Alrighty, so we will be back in just a moment with Georgina.
Okay. Gorge, you're up.
Alrighty. So I am saying that right. It is Georgina, correct?
No, Gorgina. Like, because I'm
Gorgina.
gory and gorgeous. So
Okay, yeah, that works for me. I totally get that. So Gorgina, so tell us a little bit about you and how you also got into the industry of drag.
It's a long story. I enjoyed the characterization of drag. So my character comes from a planet called Cunnilingatron, where Clitorium powers my planet. I was patrolling the galaxy, smoking a blunt, and then there was a black hole that shot me into a Saks Fifth Avenue, and I live in the dumpster, and I found an 80s magazine, and that is what I reference. It's very so yeah, my drag is very odd. I'm a lesbian. I eat vagina to survive. And yeah, I'm just a piece of trash, but with a little polish on it.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. So that kind of goes with the next question. So the question that we had come up was, who inspires your look and the character for being Gorgina?
Honestly, my biggest inspiration is Sherry Moon Zombie, Rob Zombie's wife from House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. I want to be her really bad. But the beauty of drag is you draw inspiration off of anything, because I don't like to put myself in one specific type of drag box. Because I feel like if you want glamour, I'll pull glamour, my version of glamour, and if you want punk, I can do that. If you so I don't like to say this is my niche of drag. I like to throw my body rhythmically on stage, and that's about it.
Well, and that's fun. It keeps people guessing what you're going to do next. You're not predictable, and I think
that's the thing. Living with ADHD, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Right. Like, I will change what I'm going to do the day before I do a show.
So, being a part of the PrimaDonnas, what has it taught you?
That there can be a really awesome, inclusive, familial environment within drag. Because I've been doing drag for 13 plus years, and traveling and seeing how other bars and other places did it. It was very there's a shade when you like somebody within drag, and I think within the queer community in general, you throw shade at each other. That's just the way it is. But whenever I'm in a different bar in a different state or something like that, you almost find some truth in what you're hearing of what they're. It's not light shade. It's like you're really trying to hurt this bitch's feelings.
Right.
And I don't like that. That part, really of drag really rubbed me wrong. So coming and creating the PrimaDonnas, it's just we all have a good ass time. We read each other the house down, but it comes from a place of love, and we know that.
Right.
So.
Right. So in everyday life, when not portraying your character in drag, what part of Gorgina stays with you? Have you learned anything from her?
Oh, I mean, I've always been, see, I say I'm like cursed with, I'm like an emotional tornado because I have my dad's loud screaming mouth with my mom's quick wit. So putting those two together, it's like I'm a Pisces, so it's like I feel very hard. So I'm not very different in or out of drag. Like
Okay.
I would say drag helped me in my regular life be less subdued than I am or than I was.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you another question that I had asked India, which is basically in Bowling Green. So in this area, what would you like to see happen with the growth of the area and pride events and
Well, God, pride events, girl, that's its own separate topic. But how about a little inclusivity within pride? Let's not book out of town gigs, out of town talent for our local pride when there's so much local talent here. You know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But what I would like to see in Bowling Green, I just want to keep seeing it snowball because we had our first drag bingo with my daughter Rita room the other day, like last Thursday. And then that was amazing. It was very cute. And then we had the drag race viewing party on Friday. We're having brunches every third Saturday, and we have our regular show every second Saturday. And it's just drag is just growing and blossoming, snowballing so quickly. And we have such a loving family of fans that we have. So it's just like it feels like there's no stopping us. And it's such an odd feeling whenever we were the sideshow, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Well, I feel you guys are very fortunate because for the most part, from what I've seen, mostly everybody, I won't say everyone, but loosely is very accepting, and a lot of the local businesses are very accepting and including you all with so many things, and you don't really find that very much even in larger cities.
People are starting to get that us queers know what we're doing. They'll underestimate us at first, but we know what we're doing, by golly. And if you want to show, it's what you're going to get.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the same in trucking. In trucking, everybody just looks at you and they're like, so you're gay and you're a truck driver?
I bet you get that a lot.
Yeah.
That's so, yeah.
So it's one of those things. And then, you go and you wrap one of the very first gay pride trucks in the country, and then you have everybody. And then I think my funnest thing to do is literally someone will start bitching at me on the CB radio. And I'm like, you're just mad because you got passed by the gay truck. So it's like,
ooh, no, I feel that. Oh my gosh.
So it's kind of a fun thing to do. And so one of the questions is everyone has a stereotypical idea of the trucking industry. And when you see a truck passing you on the highway, would you have thought that an LGBTQ driver would be behind the wheel?
No, because as my mom said growing up, whenever truck drivers drive really terrible, they are either smoking crack or jacking off. It was one of the two. It was never anything interchangeable. So I'm just
watching porn.
No, just. I hate that is like a stereotype within the trucking world, though, is that everyone's high all the time.
Right.
Because they have to stay up and constantly.
Totally opposite, because there's so many regulations.
Honestly,
it's so hard now to do anything like that. Maybe back in the day that would have been a thing, but now the DOT regulations are so strict. Like we can't even do edibles or anything. Like there's so many things we can't.
And my mom, bless her, she's a loving woman. God love her, but she isn't. She's learning.
So is your family supportive in your lifestyle?
I'm extremely fortunate in that, yes. My mother is my #1 fan. She loves coming to all the drag events and wearing her free mom hugs shirts. Like, and she thinks it's atrocious that anyone could not accept their child, if anybody, their
Right.
child. She just doesn't understand it. She can't wrap her head around it. But yeah, and even my dad, they're both extreme. My dad is now 7 years sober. And so they both are very proud to say that I'm a drag queen and proud to show off my pictures and performances and stuff like that.
Now, I know that we asked India, do you think it's harder being a plus size queen? So I know that you are a lot skinnier than a plus size queen. And so I have seen people. So do you ever get hate or judgment?
Oh God.
If you don't wear pads or you don't, is there, it's hard both ways. So I'm asking this.
Oh,
because...
it honestly is, because I've been the same size since junior year of high school. I've been within the same weight range since I was 17 years old, and I'm 33 years old now. So it's like, I'm not changing. I've tried to gain weight. Can't happen. Like, it's just one of those things. And like, I am a whore for the 80s. And I feel like I have that stick 80s model body. So I'm just like, why change it? Yeah, just why change it? But
Right.
I do pad when it calls for it. It's all situational for me. Like because drag is all art. So
Right.
it's like, for one thing, I want my full body showing. If I'm wearing a G-string, I want my full body showing. But if I'm wearing something like a gown or a cat suit, I'm going to wear pads with it because I want that shape.
It's all that freedom of expression and just being creative
exactly.
and getting it out there. It's so much fun to do that. As a guy, I find myself, I'm more shy and very quiet, but then as a queen, I will do things I would never do as a guy. So, some people's different.
I feel that.
So there's a difference in that. And I feel like I can get by with more things as a queen sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. I never pay for anything whenever I'm in drag, ever. And it's so amazing. But
well, is there anything you would like to say before we end your session?
Just that I love everyone that's supported us and continue to support us. Like, they don't realize how grateful we are for them. I don't think there's a way to put how grateful we are for our fan base, because we would be nothing without them. And I really appreciate you having us on here for this podcast, because it is an honor to be part of the first podcast in Bowling Green. It was a bit
That's
nerve-wracking. Not gonna lie,
awesome. It's just, it's one of those things. It's about time, and I just seen an amazing group of people that I just wanted to have you all on here.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, you all. We are going to have SIRINITY up next. And thank you so much. Good. All right, SIRINITY, are you ready?
Sure. I can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're good.
All right, so this is SIRINITY Suites, and which is another one of the PrimaDonnas. And so I'm going to start the same as I did with everyone else, and just have you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry.
I'm terrible about talking about myself. Sorry. I originally got into this industry 15 years ago. I was dating a pretty relevant drag queen in the area at the time, and it was something that I was not terribly interested in, but I'm always that person like, don't knock it till you try it. So I tried it and fell in love with the art, and I've continued to mainly grow here in Bowling Green. I've traveled most of the East Coast, but Bowling Green will always be home, and I'll pretty much stay here for the rest of my life.
I really love the culture. Everybody. The first question everybody always asks us is, "Why did you leave Florida to come to Bowling Green?" And it's just the charm. We were only 10 minutes to the ocean, but I tell you, like I love it here. The things that I instantly noticed when I came here was the church bells, and I could hear the birds chirping, and I wasn't hearing all the traffic and all the hustle and bustle of Tampa and the whole area down there. So I love it here, and I could see myself being here for quite some time. So
yeah, and you'll get like 4 seasons in 2 days. So
right. So I believe that all drag is self-expression and creativity in the art of being a queen. As a bearded queen, do you face any challenges?
no, I'm still
Okay.
pretty.
Well, you are. Yes, I agree. But have you had any hate or anything from the community or anybody else?
No, I've recently become bearded, so I've been bearded since January of last year, and the only reason why that happened is because I was recently single and going to Vegas, and I was not willing to go looking like a naked roll rat, so I decided to grow it in for a show, and it just kind of stayed. I don't really have any hate for it except for the people who were like, you were prettier without a beard. You look more like a woman without a beard. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. I'm a man.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's just being creative and fun.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's a lot of things that people do. I mean, like I was Miss Huntington at Large, and so when I was Miss Huntington at Large and went for Miss West Virginia, everybody got so outraged because I changed my sash to say Miss Huntington Fat Ass, and I came out on stage with a bucket of chicken, and I was eating chicken, and
Beautiful.
but
love that.
you would not believe the hate mail I got over that. Like it's just one of those things that people, yeah. So
Listen, our existence is offensive to somebody, so why not make it more offensive? Fuck it.
well, that means you're doing the right thing if they're talking.
Exactly. Turn heads
So,
for the right
so
reason.
as Serenity,
Mhm.
how is she different from you as a male?
I don't think that there's very much of a difference between we're like both cut ups. We laugh all the time. I mean, I think that I'm the same person.
Okay.
Would y'all say I'm the same person?
Do you have a favorite performance that you've done so far?
Girl, I'll just walk around. She ain't a dancing queen. She ain't a trick queen. No, not necessarily. I mean, anytime that I'm on stage or I'm just able to interact with those in my community, those are very eye-opening and bright moments in my career because I genuinely love the community that Bowling Green has.
Okay. So I have this question is a little bit different, and but do you feel being a drag queen mocks women?
No, I think that it's more of like a idolization type situation. Women are beautiful creatures. Why wouldn't you want to be more like that? Why wouldn't you want to the shape of a woman, the hair, the makeup? Like, I mean, we're not pulling culture. I have a beard. I'm obviously not trying to look like you, but like the eye makeup's it.
Right. No, it's fun though. It's fun, and
Yeah.
it's like for me, I have that moment. It's the moment when I see myself after my makeup is done and I put the wig on. It's just a moment for me.
It's the
And
lashes for me.
the lashes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. Everyone has that thing, the one thing
Yeah.
that they just love. I used to get hate all the time because I used to perform as Boy George, and that was always my talent for nationals and everything. So and it was a lot of fun, but it was like me and Cody Collins backstage doing a bunch of other things, and I remember doing. Because that year she was doing the Reba McEntire and she switched to Garth Brooks, and I was doing Winona and switched to Boy George. So it's a lot of fun, and being that creative is so important. I think it inspires other people. And so that's why, when I asked you the question, what was your favorite performance at Serenity, where that was kind of coming from, everyone has those moments that's just really important to you. And so I don't know. I just always have those moments that I found important.
Yeah, there's definitely memorable moments if that's along the lines of what you're talking about, but overall performances. So I guess I can give you an example. One of my most memorable moments was at Cookville Pride. I was doing shocker, the song that the bearded queen does, or the bearded lady does at the Greatest Showman. You know the song? I can't think of the name. This Is Me. I was doing that, and this person, I'm assuming that it was a non-binary individual, came up to me during that song and was just bawling their eyes out. And like, I could just tell that they were hurting in a way that like I couldn't understand. So like I just opened my arms and I held on to them, and they just sat there for the entirety of the song and just cried. And like their mom ended up coming up to me at the end of it and told me like they've been really struggling with like self-harm and not wanting to exist anymore, and that like just that pain, you could feel that in the hug. But I hope that did something for them. I hope that showed that there was kindness and love within our community enough to want to keep going.
Right. And I understand that fully. With our organization, that's what we do. A lot of people don't realize the mental health struggle that we have within truckers, because so many truckers take their life in their truck, and that literally happens because a lot of people don't think about all the time alone, the separation of family, all the things that happen. So it's your impact on people. Sometimes you don't realize how much you do have until it happens. Those moments are so genuine. So with that being said, what would you tell a family member who isn't supportive of their son that has become a drag queen?
That's easy. That's actually happening with me. My family's not necessarily supportive. They don't agree with it. I came from a very Christian household. Mother was Pentecostal, hardcore. Dad was Southern Baptist. So, I mean, I was not welcomed in being homosexual or in being a drag queen. It's still one of those things that they know about it. We just don't speak about it. My mother actually deleted me off Facebook because I forgot to hide a picture from her of me in drag. So, and then she told me that she didn't want to see that shit. But like, if you're doing you, just be happy. Your family's gonna die someday.
Right.
You got to live for you.
I mean, I will tell you, even, my mom and dad for the longest time was not in my life. They were not in my life for 11 years.
Yeah, I wasn't laughing at you, so.
No, you're good. You're good. But for 11 years, they were kind of out of my life. I would only call them at Christmas, and then I would hang the phone back up, basically. I would just tell them happy, Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday, and then I would hang the phone back up because I didn't want to argue. But I just wanted to know that I was still alive, so I really didn't let them know exactly kind of where I was or anything. But so I went through a rough spot, but sometimes it does get better, and especially when people realize that it's your child and you should be there for them. So in my own situation, I was kind of blessed. I had a long, hard road to get there, but after a while, I was kind of blessed with my family that came around and realized that I was just being my authentic self, my true authentic self. So I have a question about trucking, which is LGBTQ plus Truck Driver Network was the first ever organization for LGBTQ to set up last year at the Mid-American Truck Show in Louisville. It's the first of its kind. We were the first of its kind in 50 years in the show's history. Why do you feel it took 50 years for this representation to happen within the trucking industry and community?
I don't think that it's something that's just happening within the trucking industry. I think that we're finally getting to a time to where we are not socially acceptable. I'm trying to think of the word. We're coming to view, and people are recognizing that we're just regular people. But and religion is like one of those things that I feel like have a lot to do with that as well. Religion ends up pushing a lot of people into believing things that they would not necessarily believe in if they didn't have a book that told them something or another.
Right.
But I think that it's taken this long because people are finding who they are. We are being shown more in media, and I just think that overall acceptance is growing.
Right. And I love that. I love every bit of that. I mean, that's advocating for our community. That's what we all do. And even as a queen, a lot of people don't think of queens as advocates, but queens are advocates, and they have done so many things, whether it's marching together in pride parades or pride functions, or just standing up for the rights of others. I totally know that queens are always the ones on the front line raising money for, hospitals and children's funds, and so it's amazing.
It's
And
not only queens though; it's all the trans women, the
Right.
people of color who have to deal with all the bias on top of homosexuality. Like, if it wasn't for everybody underneath our little rainbow, we wouldn't get, except for the white ones. The cis white gay males really don't do that much, but
well, I thank you
they
so
just sit
much,
back and feed on
and
the glory.
I thank you so much. Do you have anything to say before we go to the next person?
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so great to meet you. And next we are going to have Tilishis, and so we will see you
Next
soon.
time I'll be in drag.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So hi, Tilishis.
Hey, hey.
So I'm going to start like I did it with everybody else, and tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the industry.
Well, my name is Tilishis Ebony-Jackson. I started about 23 years ago, and I didn't want to do drag at first because I didn't want to be the stereotypical gay man like at the time, because I'm 44 years old. So I didn't want to do what everybody else did. And I got asked to do a benefit show downtown with one of the old girls in town. And that's how I got started, and I've been twirling ever since.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a fun way to start. So, over the years, where have you lived? Has it always been Bowling Green, or have you moved away, or?
Well, I was unfortunately a kid of both of my parents was military, so I did a lot of moving. And then I will come here and visit, see family. I think after I graduated, I came back here to finish high school my senior year. Then I went to the military, and then I just moved back and forth.
Okay. So, over the years, how have you seen Bowling Green grow in its diversity and inclusion?
I can say the times that I've left and came back, I can say the gay community has got bigger. It's not got no smaller. As far as anything else goes, I would say the hatefulness ain't gone nowhere. The reading is still there.
Right.
These hoes are still gonna be who they are. That's the one thing I enjoy. I can come back and still see girls either still doing the same thing or some of them are doing better.
Okay. So, what is your opinion on shows like RuPaul's Drag Race, and do you believe that it has helped or hurt the community?
I like RuPaul Drag Race. I'll enjoy it. As far as helped, I would say it would help as far as putting the girls out there, getting them work, making sure they be seen. How has it hurt? and it's just an opinion of my own. I can't speak for everybody else. It's too cookie cutter for me.
Right.
It's pretty much the girls are not. I mean, camp drag is still there, but it's not as much because everybody's polished. So I
Right.
think some of the aspects of it is still going away, or it's still there. Or some of us girls are still trying to bring it back.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I love seeing an old school girl out there in a duster, getting ready to have a dance costume underneath, and knows that she ain't gonna hold her duster closed. She actually knows the button. It has buttons on it. It's the small things in life. And when you can tell when someone's graced the stage a little bit longer than someone else.
True, very
And,
true.
It's just a poise and a position of how people carry themselves, and it just comes with time. And you follow people who have been in the industry 20 years, 30 years, and I feel you take a little piece of each one of them and make it your own. And so I love RuPaul's Drag Race myself, but I'm kind of the same way. I feel like a lot of people look the same.
Yes,
And
I agree.
With that being said, how do you feel about a performer who buys everything to create their character versus a performer who is creative and has all original looks that they make themselves?
How can I answer that question? I really don't have an answer for it because when it comes to drag, it's your own style. You get what I'm saying? Because some girls, it's easier for them just to buy it instead of making it. Because I'm not a girl, I can't sew. I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't got the patience for it. I'll buy the fabric and I'll drop shit off to somebody, let them people make it, but I ain't got the time for it. And if it's something, I'm not saying easier, but if I can find something that I can take and buy it off the rack and then throw my own style to it, because I have a stylist. Hey Charles, I see you out there. He's the one that does all my clothes, and he can take an outfit that I bought and completely give it a whole new look, and it looks like something that he created. You get what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. It's on the girl, I would say.
Right. Well, I think it also is up for interpretation on if the girl can sell it.
Right.
Because you may be trying to create a character or create a look, but then may not be able to sell it. I've seen many people come out in large pageant systems, but yet have a gorgeous $10,000 gown and can't walk in it.
That part. You're right.
I mean, we've all been there. It can be as beautiful as it can be. It can be stoned for days. It can be, glass bugle bead. But at the end of the day, it could be a Coco Vega as far as that goes. All of my pageant gowns were Coco Vegas back in the day. That was who you went to. But the thing is, when you're out there walking around looking like a football player because you can't move, it creates a difference. So anyway.
I agree. Or like my stylist said, you look like a beast.
Yeah. So, how is dressing up as the opposite gender a form of self-expression for you? And do you consider it art or a lifestyle?
I consider it as an art, and then for me, I get to be somebody else for 8 hours a day. And I'm not saying I'm tired of me. It gets a chance to give me a break, and I could be this character that I know that some of us gay boys always had. Right. And I mean, growing up, I had the Lola Falanas and Dorothy Dandridge. I'm not that old, but I mean, I know who she is. And Lena Horne. Those were the pretty girls I was used to looking at. And I'm like, I want to be pretty like her, but then I know I can take it off at the end of the night.
Right. So, being Tilishis, what has she taught you?
To not give no fucks, excuse my language, but I mean, be who you are.
Right.
Because I mean, with her, she gave me a confidence. And I hate to keep going back to my stylist. He's always said, it's you, be you. Can't nobody else be you but you. And then when I'm her, I get to be somebody I'm not. Right. I might laugh more. I might cackle a little bit more, play with the crowd a little bit more than what I do as my boy self. I can break that third wall.
Right.
To have fun.
Right. So, as an entertainer, what what do you feel at this point is the most important direction that entertainers should go in to get their points across or their image across that they're trying to portray?
That's a hard question. Trying to think about how to answer that one.
Well, and I think about certain things. You know, a lot of people want someone to be polished. A lot of people goes on the debacle of, well, girl don't got nails, or you know, there's all these little things. And so, how do you feel, especially someone who's just starting out? What would you give them for that advice? What would you be your?
My advice to someone starting off is, all of us has an image of what that alter ego is going to look like.
Right.
There's no ABC about being drag. And I mean, and if there was, half of us wouldn't even be on stage if there wasn't. So if you feel that when you go out on that stage and you enjoy it, you like it, and you ain't second guessing it, well, baby, go do it. Because I ain't gonna do it. You know what your look like. I know what mine look like. I know the image that I want to put off there. And I would tell them, I mean, in the moment it don't feel right, you don't step your ass on that stage.
Yeah, I love getting lost in the clothes, the fabrics, the stuff that, you know, a lot of people have asked that over the years. You know, why do you like dressing up? And it's a character. It's something you create. It's fun, and it should be fun. And if you're not having fun, then you don't need to be doing it. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like, it's supposed to be fun. And even if you ain't stepped a day on stage and you're just doing it at your house in front of the mirror, and everyone starts somewhere. Everyone does.
We all do.
You know, so and finding that, but it's fun. The fabrics are fun. You know, I have always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed just bringing out that character and being her. Now, in trucking, let's talk about trucking for a second. It's kind of like my last question with you. But when you think of trucking and driving down the highway and all of that, are you scared of trucks, being around them, or any of that type of stuff? Because I know a lot of people has fears of trucks for the safety. And what do you feel could be done to make drivers feel more comfortable around trucks on the highway?
I don't know. I had an uncle who was a truck driver, and I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't know how to answer that damn question.
Do you get nervous or anything? Do you get nervous around trucks or anything?
No, I don't get nervous around. I'm just trying to find where the cute ones at, so I know where to go talk to them. I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with you.
Right here.
You know, I mean, I don't have no problem climbing in your cab and we can, you know, tear that motherfucker up. I ain't got a problem with it.
Well, you know, there's that whole Vegas syndrome for truckers. What happens on the road stays on the road thing.
Hey, I ain't got to tell. It's your business.
Yeah, you know, there is some people that they get up beside of a semi truck, and I will tell you, they will clench the white knuckle, that steering wheel, and they will punch the gas just to get past it because they're so scared to death of a truck. They're so scared being right beside of them, and
I get that. I can understand that. And I mean, I guess when I'm driving, I know they're just as careful as we are. I think the only part I get scared is when it's raining and they throwing that damn water on me.
Right.
That's the only thing, the major issue I have. Even though they hauling ass down the street, let me get past you and stop throwing this water on me, and I'm good.
So someone said purple hair and all, so I'm assuming that.
When I first started years ago, my drag mother, who is India, I had this purple wig that I bought at Chick Wigs years ago, and I was just starting. It wasn't combed, it was matted, it was all over the damn place. I thought I was the bee's knees wearing this damn purple hair. And finally, I think I lost it a couple years after I bought it. And I mean, ever since then, it's been tagged with me ever since then.
Lord, I haven't heard someone say Chick Wigs in forever. Like, it was the place. We used to go to the mall. I used to go to the mall and get Chick Wigs. And I thought I was the coolest thing. I got my first 3/4 cap back in the day. Like, grew my hair out so I could have the bangs and the 3/4 cap. Anyway, man.
Yes. I love that store. Chick Wigs was my spot for a minute until they closed.
Yeah, they were the first one I ever went to that actually carried all the whole Dolly Parton wig line. So that was...
Yes, it was.
Well,
yes,
it's been It's been pretty awesome talking to you. Do you have any other advice or anything you'd like to say before you leave?
I would tell the girls who are first getting on and starting on stage, if it don't feel right, don't take your ass on that goddamn stage. Go out there, do your number, and have fun. And I tell you now, 23 years in the game, I still get nervous. If you don't get nervous, get out of my business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about it for me.
All righty. Well, I thank you so much, Tilishis.
Oh, thank you, baby. Y'all have fun out there. Your favorite auntie is out.
All right, and next we're gonna have Chanel.
Channel, your turn.
All righty. So hi, Chanel.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well.
Are you surviving it down there with all this craziness?
Child of food. I didn't do nothing.
So this is Chanel Eclipse.
He's been behaving the most.
And Chanel.
Y'all not gonna blame it on me because I'm the youngest. That's what I'm not gonna do.
So tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the industry.
That's such a weird question for me to answer. Something about me, y'all need help. I was supposed to say something about myself and how I got into the industry. Well,
I was looking at you at Open Stage and Play Girl. There you go.
well, yeah, I got started in Nashville. Well, I'm 24. I've been doing drag for about 7 years now, 7 and some months. And I got started in Nashville doing Open Stage at Play, and I became good friends with Miss GORGINA George, because we was the only ones that smoked. So we were in the smoking section together. Well, you was Mallory back then, girl. And she invited me up to be a special guest at the Frame Fatale shows at the A-Frame, and literally that same night I got casted, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, as a sisterhood, being a part of the PrimaDonnas, what has it taught you?
What has been a PrimaDonnas taught me? I guess just to not take myself too seriously, I guess. Like, a lot of times you can get into your own head and like really, be your own, what's the RuPaul thing, self-saboteur.
Right.
And up here I just learned is like, it's okay to have fun while doing drag. You don't have to always think that like you need to break your neck to entertain. You need to put your all into it. Like, girl, relax, breathe. If you're having fun, everybody else is gonna have fun. Like,
Right.
go for it.
And the crowd feels that. The crowd feels that energy. Everybody feels that
Right.
energy, and so it makes it so much better. And I feel that when you feel that energy from the crowd and the crowd's interacting, it makes you want to do more. Like
Yes, it makes the show so much better. Like,
It does.
like during the pandemic, we had a lot of like this virtual drag. Girl,
Right.
standing in your room with just like a device and you trying to do a number is so hard to do because you don't get that feedback, that energy that like you're giving it. So it just feels awkward.
Right. So, what is your goal as an entertainer?
Like, what? Could you repeat that again?
As an entertainer, what is your goal? Like, what is your a long-term goal for you?
My long-term goal as an entertainer, not to break a bone. I'm just playing. I would like to travel more, honestly. Get my name out there a bit more. Like, I'm still young. I'm still, getting into the groove of things. Like, I would like to be able to, explore more with Chanel, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. So do you feel that exploring more, would it be in your artistry as well, or going outside of the box, or also just traveling, pageants, or what area and circuit would you feel that you would want to go? Or is it just all of them?
I mean, pretty much I want to try a little bit of everything. Like, why not?
Right.
I mean,
That's how you develop your character. That's how you develop who you are, and just you just get out there and do it.
Find what's best for you.
Right. So, do you feel more comfortable in drag, and do you feel that you show the same flair and creativity as a guy that you do as Chanel?
Definitely not. Like in daytime, like me and Chanel, two completely different people. Like I can sit there and have this conversation with you in drag and like do this podcast and everything. As a boy, too people-y for me. Like antisocial as hell. Like I would rather sit and like scroll through TikTok, honey, smoke me a little greenery in my business.
Well, and that that's just the fun part of it is, like I said, everybody has that moment, and like when they have the lashes on or the hair goes on, and your character change. You do change. There is a change.
For me, it's the ass. Once the ass gets on, baby, then it's realized.
So, do you feel people you perform for? Do you ever feel like they treat you as a sex object?
Not necessarily. That's a really good question. Not necessarily. I do get a lot of sexual attention when I perform a lot because I present myself in that manner, if that makes sense. I'm a very like sex sales type of performer. So I can see where it comes from, but I don't really see it any different from like any other attention because I'm not really paying attention.
Right. Have you ever had anyone actually like go over the line or approach you inappropriately?
I had, and this was a while ago, girl, before she was actually like this pretty. And I had a married couple actually come up to me and was like, I want you, and this is the wife talking to me, I want you, and then I want my husband to have you after. But like, not a question, this was a statement, like letting you know, like, come on, we finna do this, like, and I'm like, no, I'm okay, honey, like, I'm fine, like, thank you, but thank you.
No, I get that completely. I remember back in the day, I used to go to the same restaurant every night. We had this like all night diner and mom and pop place. And so after the bar closed, all of the queens, we get together, we go to the restaurant and stuff. And there was this couple that they would drive 3 hours to come and see the show. Every weekend that I was there, they would come like 3 hours, and I was like, "You guys drive after work, and then you drive all the way down." Anyway, I just thought it was the most awesome thing. That's a really awesome thing. But then one night, she said, "What would it take for you to come home with us?" And
a lot of fucking money.
I literally was like, "Well, I'm very flattered, but." Illusion is exactly her name, and in that name, I portray an illusion of something, and it's not who I am sexually as a person. For me, other people, there's nothing wrong with that. There is people who do that, but for me, it's just something. She's a character that I create, and so for me, it's fun. It's not that serious. And some people, I think, blur that line and kind of forget sometimes, And so I always try to not offend anybody. I didn't want to offend anybody, but it's hard not to sometimes. So when that question came up, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna hate me for some of these questions," but So Another one is, what do you feel is a good tip when performing? And what's been your highest tip so far?
Like, we mean like monetary
Money-wise, yes.
Okay. I was like, oh, girl, let me think of something that sounds real smart and like that can be for the younger. Okay, let me think. A good tip, I mean, honestly, just like It really doesn't matter to me because I don't really do drag for the money. I do it for the attention because I like attention, and and just like it's kind of like my therapy. So just the feedback of energy, you vibing with me. That's pretty much my tip. Like I like the feeling of knowing that I'm doing good. The feeling of
The big bills help.
But I mean, yeah, girl, big bill never hurt nobody. But I don't want to be one of those queens. Like,
Right. So in Bowling Green, are you from here or?
I am from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. So do you travel a lot back and forth? Is that?
I just recently moved up here in December.
Okay.
But at first, yes, I would come up for the shows and then like go back. So it was a lot back and forth. Long story.
So those tips will help. Those tips will help for the hotel room. No.
Oh yes, most definitely. Now back then, girl, I did look forward to a nice little 20 popping up, going to gas tank, something like that.
So in Bowling Green and the growth that you've seen here versus living in Nashville, how is the drag scene different from here to there? Do you feel there's more of a sense of community here?
It is a whirlwind of a difference. Like, woo, it is a huge difference. Like, Nashville, oh Lord, I'm gonna get canceled. Nashville, I just learned that how can I say this and not sound like a cunt? They have a precise way of drag that they find entertaining. And if you are a hair off from that, then you're on the back burner. Nobody really gives a fuck. Like,
right.
You just there, like filler queen. But in Bowling Green, they live for everything. Like any type of drag. Like we have a saying, all drag is what? Valid. Because that's the way people feel up here. It's all inclusive. Everyone loves everybody. And not just because people up here are more appreciative of art than they are in Nashville, to me personally.
Right. I think it's because like in Tampa's the same way too, and different areas. When you get to the larger cities, it's so busy that they don't take the time in their life and even in their drag that it's a specific look. And if you're not a part of that clique, then you're not a part.
Right.
It's like I love when you see someone. I love when you see someone and then it's like their daughter, their granddaughter, their 10 drag children all look exactly the same. They all
look like they're like snot rocketed and built a drag baby.
But so they create that, and it's just one of those things. But I like seeing diversity. I like seeing different types of drag, fun people who take chances, people that do throw themselves down on the ground and roll around or whatever. It's fun, it's okay. That's fun to me. Right. That's more for the entertainment value. I think that's way more appealing to anybody. It should, at least should be.
Because like our shows here, when I first came up here, like I said, I started off as just like a special guest for a night. I was just amazed in the dynamics of the show as it went along. There wasn't just like a steady, vibe going on. We had people twirling fire and bitches jumping off the stage, Cuda slamming, me going up there throwing ass, and then the next time I come up, I'm doing a Paramore song. Like being able to have that type of liberty up here is what makes the difference for me.
So I have two more questions. One of them being, how do you feel about female impersonation?
I'm here for it.
Okay. I know you said all valid, all drag is valid, so I kind of figured that was going to be your answer on that. And then kind of have a loaded gun question, which is basically going to be, what is the biggest thing that you dislike about the drag industry?
The biggest thing I dislike about the drag industry,
think about what
the internalized homophobia.
Okay.
And I say that in the sense of a lot of times when you look, like not even just in the drag scene, in the gay scene in general, there is a certain way look, shape, color, something that's supposed to be like way more prominent or like is more acceptable as opposed to everybody else, back to the all drag is valid type of thing.
Right.
All people are people, like at the end of the day. So I don't get why we have these upfront preferences that are like hidden but not hidden.
Right.
That's my beef. That's what I don't like. Like I can't deal with it.
So one more thing is who inspires you the most in your looks, or do you have more than one person that inspires you, but who inspires you the most?
I would say pretty much just like the common answers, like, you know, pop artists, people in like, well, most definitely for me, the colored ladies of the industry, I'm most definitely here for. I like a lot of alternative things. So I like, you know, looking into cartoons and mythology and shit like that, and finding ways to kind of like mix and match. But I'm a Banji girl at heart, so I love a good like local girl that you just see down at the corner store with her big ass hoochie hoops and her booty shorts. That's the vibe for me.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Just don't ask Jess to do it because you'll be scarred for life. But in trucking, this is going to kind of be your last question. So in trucking, what do you think about whenever you think of LGBTQ plus drivers being out here on the road and the safety and everything that comes along with being in the industry? Because this is one of the deadliest jobs in America at this point. And with the supply chain being the way it is, a lot of people do face a lot of discrimination, a lot of hate, and being alone. It's very depressing at times when you're alone in a truck. And some people don't realize that some of these drivers stay 6 weeks up to sometimes they only go home twice a year. So a lot of people don't realize how much people do spend in a truck and how much time it is. So when you think of trucking and being LGBTQ, what comes to mind for you?
I would almost say, like, initially, that is not a word. Initially, like, you got the obvious, you know, you think about the thirsters that come out to the stops, and, you know, it's always that, but it's like thinking, is that in replacement of you not being able to get that regular connection? Like, is that why that's going on? Or just the fact that there's a point of time in this little short period of time that I can get some type of attention? Like, that's what first comes to mind, I guess.
Okay. That's okay.
That
There's no correct answer, you know, it's just, you know, what comes to mind. So I thank you so much, Chanel. It's been amazing, and it's just been awesome. Everyone has been such an amazing group to have at the house.
Yes, thank you for having us.
So yeah, and definitely we're gonna do more things together, all of us. It'll be fun. So next we're gonna have Rita. So thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we ready, Rita?
We are, yes.
Alrighty. So we have Rita Room.
Hello.
And we're going to start just like everybody else and just ask you to tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the industry of drag.
Well, I have been a performer my entire life. I've done theater, musical theater since I was 6 or 7 years old. And then I really just have loved the art form forever. I mean, when the first time, I'm sorry for this. From the first time I saw drag, I fell in love. And, you know, when I moved to Nashville, that was my first time being away from my hometown. And I started to experiment with it and trying to see if it was something I would enjoy doing. I got a drag mother there that did not appreciate my beard. Told me I would never be pretty with it if I remained a queen. And so made me shave. And I was not Rita when I did that. And then when I started performing with my beard was when I moved to Bowling Green. I've been here for 3 years. I'm the newest cast member of the PrimaDonnas for about 6-7 months now. But yeah, that's kind of how I've become who I am. Just a musical theater background, you know, and then just moving into this has kind of been just a natural progression. So.
Okay, so how did you come up with your drag name?
You know, I feel like the best drag names are the punniest. And one day where was I? I think I was at church, oddly enough.
Wow.
In Nashville. And I just saw this older woman who looked like she gave no fucks about anyone in the room. And I met her and her name was Rita. And I was like, you know what? I bet she can read a room. And then I was immediately like, bitch, that is going to be it. That's going to be the drag name. Never changed, never had anything else. It's just been Rita Room. So
that's awesome. So have you had any negative experiences in the drag world? And that could be also, since you are a bearded queen, or anything like that happened for you.
So I would say there have been quite a few negative experiences, but they've all kind of turned into positive, because being a bearded queen, it is a newer form of drag, or become more, I don't want to say mainstream, but it's become more prevalent in the last few years. And when trying to get bookings, reaching out to people, it's always been like, I'm not sure how comfortable I am with you as a bearded queen. It's not my thing. And I always say, you know, let me prove to you who I am as a performer. It doesn't matter what my face looks like. It's what I bring to a performance. And every time I've had someone tell me that they're just not a fan of bearded drag, or it's just not their style, they bite their tongues after I'm able to prove, you know, that it's not about being the prettiest, clean-shaven girl in the room. It's about what you do with an audience and how you connect with an audience.
Right. You know, like for me personally, one of my biggest inspirations was always like, I loved the New York circuit and the club kids. I personally loved like club kids. It was a thing for me. And I was always so inspired by club kids, because you had drag, and drag was, when I first started, it was like, it was done a certain way, and that was it. Everybody kind of looked cookie cutter the same. But, you know, I was so inspired by club kids, because they were doing all these really crazy, fun moon shoes and all these different fun things. And I loved it. I loved it. That was actually the very first time I ever had seen a bearded queen, was a club kid in New York, and was gorgeous, just gorgeous. So it's inspiring, and I just love the creativity of it. So that's just my thing.
Thank you.
I wish everybody had a little bit more appreciation, but you know, I think that through performance you can change people. I really their opinions on stuff. For yourself, where do you see yourself in 10 years with Rita?
Dead.
Oh my God. So, that's a tough one, because like actually pursuing drag seriously was something I thought about, but like not really given any thought to after kind of told like having a beard, you will never be pretty, that kind of thing. It was like, am I ever going to really take this seriously? And here I am, 6 months, I think, almost being a prima donna. Oh my God. 6 months into being a prima donna, 2 years doing this more seriously. And I will full on admit, 3 weeks into actually doing my own face. And in 10 years, I can't wait to see who Rita is after, doing this for 3 weeks myself and then really taking it seriously. I've gotten into pageantry. I don't know if that's something I will stick with, but I would love to see myself potentially having a national title at some point. I don't know if that'll be 10 years. I don't know if that'll be 5, a year. I don't know.
Is there a specific type of pageantry that you have in mind? Is it?
So right now I compete in America's Bearded Queen system. It's ran by David Bridgman. He's in Texas. And he comes from a long line of pageantry, owning pageants and being a judge. But I feel like with me, the natural progression after America's Bearded Queen, I definitely want to dip my toes into EOI. Because I feel like that is one of the systems that truly appreciates you of course it's a pageant, but they truly appreciate you as an entertainer, not just the queen being pretty. There's a lot more aspects to it.
There's so many things over the years that's been done at EOI that has been off the wall, and just other pageants would have just not known what to do with it. Where EOI, I feel like it is a stage where you can be anything. Yeah,
100%.
Be anything. So we have 3 questions, and 3 more questions, and don't shoot me because of the questions, because so one of them, and this is just I'm just going to put this out here. So with all the changes in the laws across the country, taking rights away for so many people, what is your opinion on the backlash that has come about with drag queen story time and the freedom that has been taken away to perform at certain venues?
And I know we've been cutting up all day, but you literally asked me that question. Like I'm like getting emotional about it. Because so my husband and I are foster parents. Not currently, we don't have a placement. Thank you. We had 2 kids. We had a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. Most incredible kids ever. And I look at it like I am more fit to be around certain children than their own parents and their own families sometimes. Not saying like our foster children, their mother's great. We keep in touch with her. Like it was just a matter of circumstances, but it really is so upsetting because you see things coming out of the news about, like you said, these laws being pushed, but then you also see all of these, child sex offenders that are coming out in the news, and not one of them is a drag queen. Not one of them is a drag performer. Not one of them is a trans individual. They're the ones that are in the pulpits every Sunday. I mean, I heard it from SIRINITY. They're the ones.
But they're also the ones. They're senators. They're congressmen.
They're the ones pushing these laws, or the ones getting arrested for exactly what they're saying that we do, and it is sickening. I always just use myself as an example. Like our kids' biological mom, like she says after they were with us that she would not have wanted them to go anywhere else, and for someone to take that away from me as a performer and as an entertainer, it is incredibly disheartening. But we're not going to go without a fight. Like we're not going to go down just letting it happen. Like we will come out, arms a swinging. So
right. No, I get it. Even reading that question, makes me emotional because it affects so many people. And the impact and how we inspire people. We inspire people to be their true, authentic self. And that's so important in today's world, is your own individuality of being who you are. And for someone to want to take that away, to make people to try to conform to a specific way, really, yeah, it really just Lord. Anyway, but yeah, it just, I feel it's horrible. So,
Yeah.
Another question I have is I have started, and this is a little bit more of a trucker question, but I kind of want your opinion on this. I started a driver memorial program. And the reason I started this program is because when I tell you that 3,276 drivers left home last year, not to make it home to their loved ones, because every year 3,276 drivers pass away on the road, and that breaks down to 9 drivers a day behind the wheel as a professional driver, making it one of the top 5 deadliest jobs in America. Do you feel it gives you a better appreciation for what the truck drivers do out on the road, knowing that?
100%. I mean, I'd never heard those statistics. That's it's baffling. I did not know that at all. But like I think India talked about earlier, I think it was India, I'm not sure, but like truck drivers are literally providing services, but they keep this country running, honestly. Like, I mean, and I know it's always said that, but like, supply chain and demand, all of that comes from truck drivers. If we did not have truck drivers, nothing would get done in this country. So honestly, it's alarming to hear that. And I think there needs to be changes potentially to, protecting, and I don't know how that comes about or what to be done with that. But I do think like that's very alarming. I did not know that. But
there is small steps and different things, but it's all about safety and and putting safety guidelines and implementing those in place, and then like I said, depression is another thing that is a big thing on the road, which there is a lot of people who take their own life. So there is outreach hotlines for people to call. And it's just things that people don't really think about, because those trucks pass you on the interstate. They pass you where you're at. You're sleeping in your bed at night and they're still going down the road. So you really don't think about it. You don't. Yeah. I feel like it's one of those areas that you're seen, but you're unseen, kind of.
Yeah.
So it makes it really easy to get lost in that and lost in your emotions. I love all the great things that the PrimaDonnas has been doing, and I love how interactive they are with Bowling Green and just the whole community as a whole. I really do. That's really why being at the ramen bar and being at all the Donnas and Pride and I've watched you guys and we went live the other day. I don't know if you've seen that, but we actually had Ashley down there and she went live watching your guys' performance at ramen bar.
I did watch that.
So it was on the page, and so we've been trying to help get letting you guys be seen by a little bit more people all the way across the country. What do you think, or what are your future plans and goals for the group, for the PrimaDonnas?
Really just, like you said, making us more visible. I'm very much and I talked about this before, I come from corporate background. I'm very business minded. That's what I do in my day-to-day life. Currently, I am not working. I just got an offer for a new role, but I was with Amazon corporate. So I've been in big tech and lots of corporate facing roles. And so the business side of it is kind of what I'm trying to be focused on, and like, what can we do to not only grow drag and Bowling Green and in Southern Kentucky, but also us as performers, and giving us more opportunities to be visible and be seen. So like, I think a few of them have mentioned, like, I'm doing Drag bingo should be starting weekly. I'm still talking to the manager of the bar that I did drag bingo at the other night, but it was super successful. Friday nights, we are doing weekly RuPaul Drag Race viewing parties at the Bamboo Club at the Ramen Bar. That's, two things that, I've kind of pushed and really wanted to see happen, and just started, bugging people until they said yes. And I that's just kind of what I want. I want us to be more visible, not only as performers, but as entertainers in the community, and make it more known that we're here and we provide incredible entertainment, and, provide more opportunities for ourselves as well as our community.
So, as Rita, who inspires your looks? Is it what inspires you the most?
It ain't nobody that's been on here. I'll leave with that. Very like
Gutter trash.
Well, she is my mother. And I meant Serenity, not Gorge. So she said gutter trash. I just had to comment on it. So really I've always loved, and this is one thing Serenity is always like, do you like your over exaggerated eye? Do you like how over the top it is? And I do, because one of my, like, I don't want to say idols, but like someone I've always admired is Divine. Like when I say, like, as a theater performer and like being all of that, like the first drag performer I ever saw was Divine in Hairspray from the 80s, and I was obsessed. And I even at home, I have a Divine prayer candle that we have on our mantle along with Stevie Nicks. But Divine, like, as far as when it comes to like over the top exaggerated, like that is kind of my idol. And you don't need an eyebrow to do drag. But also, really kind of the way I love purples and pinks and like bright neon. So I'm very much like that 80s Miami Vice meets Housewife from 1950s kind of vibe. That's what I want to like embody when I do drag, is like very much the 80s, early 90s grunge mixed with a little bit of like big hair housewife, like very prim, that kind of thing, but raunchy and rough around the edges. So.
Nothing wrong with that. No, that's fun. And that, I think that's how you create and get a following of people, is by creating your own character and your own look. And so I enjoy, even though there is other bearded queens out there, I feel that so many people will love your look on how you do everything. And that's important. That's the connection you make with people. So also, since we talked a little bit earlier about RuPaul's Drag Race, what is your opinion on the show? And also, do you feel how it has helped and how it has hindered or hurt the community?
I have to be careful because I might audition one day, so I don't need this following. But I think there are a lot of changes happening with RuPaul's Drag Race in recent years. They're coming a little late to the game. I'll say that. I was super excited that Dani Beard won UK as a bearded queen. Still not sure why that was only 3 seasons, and we've been in 15 seasons and have not had a bearded queen yet. Kind of concerning. Come on. She only got a beard because she had surgery and she don't want to shave. She was the first, but like a full, like that's their aesthetic. Like it's honestly, Sasha Colby, I am so glad she's on this season. Sasha Colby is killing it again. Why has it taken 15 seasons for Sasha Colby to get on Drag Race? Blows my mind. I think it has provided a great platform and a stage for performers, making it more mainstream, but it has made it difficult in a lot of ways as well, because there is such a standard that queens are held to now, because that is what they see. Sugar and Spice, for example, gorgeous, but that is what young queens are coming out wanting to be, is like that twinkish, drop dead gorgeous, like
Right.
queen, and that's not what everyone is. That's not.
I feel
what
also,
drag-
even personally for myself, I take it back to basically what I had talked to India about. I always had wanted a plus size queen to win. I really have never really seen a plus size queen. Some get pretty far, but it never seems like they ever win. They don't ever get.
Right.
And I feel like there is like kind of that click or that certain look that the show goes for sometimes.
Yeah.
And but then there's also a lot of queens, after they've been on there, they have come out and have said, how hard it actually is to be on the show,
Yeah.
and how much of and I just love this. This is one of my biggest things. The fact that you all are just laughing and showing what it's like to have real sisters. That inspires me more. The fact that everyone's in the background, you're laughing, you're cutting up, you're acting a fool, it's not always the cattiness that that show creates or shows. And
Exactly.
Not everyone hates each other. Not everybody, I may say someone looks sickening, or God, you're too fat, take that off so I can wear it. But we say it out of fun and love and that type of stuff. So hearing you all be sisters, I think there's so much more that people could learn by hearing that, because it's real.
Yeah, and speaking on that, like I've had a few bookings out of town recently, and I know I've mentioned it to all of them, but the vibes backstage are so different than our shows, because it is like a queen will be standing right next to another queen, berating her to someone else or belittling her, not reading, not throwing a little bit of fun shade, like full on belittling another queen, and she's sitting literally right beside her. In our environment, do we have differences? 100%. But we will turn and we will say it and we'll speak the truth and we'll squash it. We're not going to let it create a weird, awkward environment for everyone. We're not, at least when we're all together, we're going to do our show. We're going to be positive. We're going to all work together, and we're going to deal with what we need to deal with at the right time. But other companies and other bars don't do that, and other casts don't do that. And it's really kind of talking about when I did pageants, that's the pageant that I want to be a part of. National Bearded or America's Bearded Queen is that. I've talked to Jane Dior Fierce when she was here for our viewing party, and she was like, pageants just got to the point where you weren't appreciated for who you were as a person. You had to get up there and your answers for interview were scripted, and if you didn't say it the right way, that was docked points. And for the system that I'm currently competing in, it is, we want you to be you. We don't want to see, good evening, my distinguished panel of judges. They don't care about that. They care about you being you on stage and being a good entertainer. And that's what I love about being a part of this group. And I'm so grateful to be with them all. They have welcomed me with open arms. The weird bearded queen that I am, loud and very aggressive sometimes, honestly. But they have welcomed me for who I am and not wanted to change me, but wanted to polish what I had and the potential that I had, and not say, you need to shave because that's when you'll really be a pretty queen. They've never said that to me. So if I haven't told y'all before, I love y'all for embracing me and letting me be a part of this group, because it really has allowed me to find family in a new city. Because like I said, I've only been here 3 years, and these are my closest friends. My husband has his because he's from Bowling Green, but this is my family here because my family's in Alabama. So I don't get to see them all the time.
That's so awesome. That really is. And inspiring, because that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And, and that's when family steps in. Like I said, at the beginning of the show, my dad passed away 3 weeks ago, and the organization stepped in. These were all my family and friends, people. I had no clue how I was going to pull $17,000 together. It's a lot of money. And so those people, those connections that matter, they're there for you emotionally and just there for you, for their family. And some people don't understand it. And I hate that people don't understand that, because if you don't understand it, it means you don't have that in your life.
Exactly.
And, so it's just very important to have that in your life. So I thank you all so much. Is there anything else you would like to say before we close out the show?
I don't think I have anything. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It's been a lot of fun. I thank you
Follow
all
us
so
on
much.
social,
Yeah.
all the PrimaDonnas and all of our individual accounts. Follow us.
And I'm sure that they would love to entertain some truckers out there. Just,
I know India would. India is already ready, so y'all hit her up.
All right. Well, I thank you so much. And thank you all, everybody, for tuning in. That is pretty much going to be our show for the day. So that's pretty much everything, you guys. I am so inspired by everything, and I just am so excited about this show because this was actually a lot of fun. And we're going to try to do some bookings and different things out in throughout the year. So maybe I can get them to travel with me and go to a couple of different places. I know we've been asked to do some stuff in Cincinnati and stuff with the trucks. So, maybe the PrimaDonnas can come with us and do some things with us. It would be a lot of fun to hit the road and do a road trip and take them to even some of the shows, even the truck shows. My mind kind of wanders to all of that. So we will see, but we definitely are going to support them. So please follow them on Facebook and all the social media platforms. And thank you all so much for tuning in to your Big Gay Trucker for LGBTQ+ Truck Driver Network. Thank you all.